The second Wednesday of every July is the Hal Schell Award. This year is our 11th award that giving out. Hal Schell meant a great deal to me, meant a great deal to our readership, and more than anything else, he meant a great deal to the Delta that we love. He was responsible for bringing countless amount of people into the Delta, calling it their own, and hopefully continuing on the tradition of all the Delta. It is our 11th year, and I see out, looking out, we have a couple of the past recipients. Kurt Page is back there, who actually was the 10th annual Hal Schell Award recipient. Chris Lauritsen, and then just run down a few of the other ones in no particular order. Dave Smith, Joe Cicchini, Ken Scheidiger, Dave and Laura Brininger, our very own Bill Wells, Chris Lauritsen, who already mentioned, Bill Korp, Kip Korth, Kurt Page, who I mentioned, and Jay Sorensen. Each and every year this award is given out to those who have some part of bettering the Delta, whether that be environmentally, bringing people exposure to the Delta, just basically bettering the Delta that we all love. So this year's award recipient was, their involvement in the Delta is basically ground zero to thousands of people being introduced to the Delta and their first love of the Delta. It continues today to where basically generations that started their Delta experience there have continued on up until this day. 4 times a year at least, well, at least 3 times a year, I call it home. It's a place that I've grown to love even more and more every time that I go out there. I was first introduced to the place in 1996. It wasn't my first introduction to the Delta, but it is many people, that's their first love. In particular, my parents. It was their first place that they were introduced to the Delta, and they fell in love with it from that point forward. There could be a number of places in the Delta that could do this, but it is the staff that basically make that experience what it is today. They do a phenomenal job out there, always making you feel welcome, always making you feel like you've returned home, basically. 2 of the people, when I first came to the Delta, even though the place in particular wasn't the first place that I was introduced to the Delta, when I did come out here, Jim and Joan Deak, no matter where I was at a Delta Chamber event, would always make my wife and I feel welcome. I didn't know a soul, but Jim and Joan would see us and they would always invite us to their table to sit with them, enjoy the evening, and I miss them both tremendously. But just their example of their love of the Delta and how they wanted to spread that and make people feel welcome transpires through the whole family. So I am proud to announce, representing Delta Yachtsman and the staff who works for us, Bill Wells and everybody behind the scenes, I am very proud to announce the 11th annual Hal Schell Award recipients, the Deak Family.
Thank you. Nice stage, by the way.
So the award itself is not just a selection by myself. There are a couple people involved in it. R.J. Lorenzi, my father Don Abbott, myself, and the readership themselves. Basically, letters from you and your nominees basically is the end result of who determines who's going to get the award for that year. So definitely keep that in mind for 2018. If you have anybody that you feel betters the Delta in any way possible, submit their names, give them a nominee, and they could possibly be the next recipient. So thank you. I neglected to mention the name of the business, B&W Resort, and it's on the McCollum River, right there on I-12 at the McCollum River Bridge. You can't miss it. Delta Boat Storage and B&W Resort, great place. If you haven't been there before, definitely give it a try and check it out. So thank you all for showing up, and I'll turn it back over to Bill. Thank you.
Reminder, Taste of the Delta is coming up August 5th. If you need tickets, Gene Davis is right there. So anybody needs tickets, they're available tonight.